Thanks for joining me for this pelvic floor release. Lovely stretch, a great way to release any tension around the pelvic floor, but also a really good stretch. So you're going to need a foam roller. I've got two, softer one, a little bit harder one, but any one is great. And then ideally a myofascia release ball. You could use a football, even a child's football, and I'll show you how you can just use the roller instead of using the balls as well. A band or a towel is quite handy as well. Okay, so we're going to get started with a little bit of glute release. So I'm just going to use my normal roller, which is a little bit harder. Just pop those out of the way. So starting with releasing around the glutes, yeah, and also the hamstrings. So we're going to start with the glutes first. So I'm going to sit onto the roller, get myself then, so I'm onto my buttock. So you want to be in the fleshy part of the buttock. And then just start to move around, just going over the glute muscles there. So I'm going to go all the way to the back of the buttock and then come round just that middle part of the buttock as well. And you can just have a little play around with that. I like to try and aim for 20 rolls. So you're going to just take a lovely steady breath as you do that, inhaling and exhaling just as feels comfortable. You can do a little bit less if you're short of time, and obviously you can do a little bit more. So if there are any tight areas, you can then just pause for a moment and just allow the roller and the body just to soften. So just letting the body soften towards the roller and just enjoy that. So rolling again from the centre, maybe a little bit lower down on the buttock, maybe a little bit to the side, but making sure you feel comfortable in your upper body as you do that. I'm rolling off the camera there, so I'm just going to pause here. A little bit tight around the top of the buttock, so just kind of waiting there. Just having a little pause. Good. That's it. So I'm going to come off there and then do exactly the same on the other side. So if you've got your roller, you're going to do exactly the same on the other side. Or I'm going to show you then if you've got your myofascial release ball, it's exactly the same principle. So you come onto the sit bone and then just start to move around on that buttock. So from the centre, maybe to the side, maybe a little bit higher up. Yeah, to the centre. And then out to the side. Yeah, making a really good noise there. Good. So again, just getting that same principle. This one's a little bit softer, and you can use this orb one, which is a little bit harder. So yeah, that's a little bit trickier to navigate around the glutes there. But equally, you know, all just as good. And again, you could still be using your roller. So again, you've got your 20 rolls. Pausing if you've got any niggles, any tighter areas, just having a little pause, take a few breaths. Good. And looking for kind of 20 or so movements, 20 little rolls up and down if you've got your roller, or the same with your myofascial release ball. So again, you might spend a little bit more time on that if you wanted, but just making sure you've kind of covered all aspects of the buttock. Good. And then when you finish that, you can then come into a stretch. And we're going to do a wall stretch now. So you can then come close up to the wall. I'll show you here on my back wall. So come right up to the wall. So your bottom's fairly close to the wall. And then lay yourself down. And then you've got both feet onto the wall there. Make sure you feel comfortable. Good. And then if we leave the left leg on the wall, we can put the right foot into your pigeon pose position. So then we can allow the hips to settle down to the mat and work into this really, really kind of quite satisfying stretch for the buttock. Just be quite mindful of the knee. See if you can relax the shoulders. You might even grab a towel and just put that into the back of your head. And then just working here, maybe again that 20 breaths. Just finding that stretch and release into the right buttock area. What I'd like you just to notice is that the tailbone will want to lift, and we're going to try just very quietly send the tailbone down towards the ground there. So the spine is long and lengthened and you're not lifting, trying to get deep into that stretch. And again, your 20 breaths, you might even use a hand just on the inside of the thigh, just to open the knee, but making sure that the pelvis stays level. So when we've done our 20 breaths, we can release out of that. Just give yourself a moment there, and then do exactly the same to the other side. So we can put our left foot onto our right thigh, and then get yourself into a position there. So one side might feel a little bit tighter than the other. So if you've got a little bit easier side, you might just come a little bit closer to the wall so you get a good stretch there. And on your tighter side, you might want to repeat the same stretch again. So if it's significantly different, you could always repeat the same stretch on that opposite side. Yeah, so you're going to stay exactly in the same position as I just come around now. So we're trying to get a little bit of release into those areas around the pelvic floor, and that can help then allow the pelvic floor to do its job correctly. So that's what we're aiming for. You're going to have just a few more breaths as you're in your glute stretch there. Good, just relaxing into it again, the tailbone heading down towards the ground, down towards your mat. And then come out of that position. So slowly bring your legs to the side and then just bring yourself to your position now. So again, I'm going to go back to the roller. So for our hamstrings, yeah, so coming back to the roller. So I'm going to sit on top of the roller, and again I'm going to use my quite sturdy one here, just so I can get those muscles going. So we can start with the legs out, and right on top of the sit bones, and then maybe bring yourself back just a little bit with the hands there. And now I can roll all the way down to the backs of my knees, and then all the way to the top of the hamstring, kind of the pant line area. So we're rolling all the way back and then back to those top of the hamstrings there, or bottom of the glute muscles. And you can notice that when you sit on the top of it, you'll feel right at the top of the hamstrings there. And again, you're aiming for those 20 rolls, or making sure you don't go onto the back of the knee. So just before the back of the knee. And as you're doing that, you might even cross the legs over. So you have a couple of rolls like that. Adds a little bit of weight into that right side. I've got my left over my right, and then if I put my right over my left, I can ease onto that side. So again, the same principle. We're trying to release those muscle fibres to help us with a little bit better stretch. Good, and as we're doing this, we could even have a little lean to the right side on the right leg, maybe rolling in a little bit, so we're covering all aspects of the hamstring there. Hamstrings. Good, and when we've done our 20 of those, again, you might just pause the video and carry on doing a little bit more if you wanted. We're going to use our band now to stretch the hamstrings. So when we've had a little bit of a go with that, and we feel comfortable, we feel like we've had a little bit of release, we've done our pausing and breathing, we can take our band, place it around one foot, and bring ourselves slowly down onto the mat. So we can come onto our back, and we can use the band then to get a really good stretch for the backs of the legs. I've got my straight roller here. So we can send the leg up, we can have the band in both hands. And again, you might work with that 20 breath principle. So lengthening out all the way down the back of the legs, back of the leg, relaxing the shoulders, maybe the right foot's on the floor, maybe the right leg can stretch out as well. So enjoy that pull and stretch into the body of the back of the thigh. And remember, you could use your ball as well for your release. So the same principle as we did with our glute muscles as well. So if you have got your ball available, you can always try the same release with your ball instead. The principle of rolling over the muscles, breathing and relaxing. Good, so again, you might take your time on this one, you might have an extra stretch. Good, and then if we want to, then we can switch legs. So again, we can work for that 20 breath principle. Just a gentle inhale and exhale. Maybe a slight bend in the knee. Maybe our left leg stretched out. Shoulders are relaxed. And if we haven't got a band, we can do exactly the same just by holding on to the back of the leg or the back of the calf. So just enjoying that. The band will just give us a little bit more leverage, and it'll just help create a little bit better stretch if we can, and enables us just to keep our upper body relaxed as well. So we can ease out of that after our 20 breaths. Again, you might do a little bit longer on a tighter side. Good, so we'll come out of that, and then when you're ready, we'll come over and up to our seated position. So again, we can do exactly the same with our balls, but we're going to try now our inner thigh connection. I'm going to go with my softer roller. So this is the Sizzle softer roller, so just a bit more gentle on the body. Now for the inner thigh, we're going to try and get the whole length of that inner thigh up towards the groin. So one way of doing this is to just rest on our side and bring our knee up onto the roller. So then you can start here, really just rolling away towards the roller and then rolling back, so that you get some release into that inner thigh area. Good, and again we could go with that steady breath. That's it, just aiming to get all the way into that inner thigh and rolling back. And you can just swap that around. You can change your position. Again, you could get into that inner thigh area and just pause and have a little bit more time on those tighter areas. Good. So rolling in and rolling back, massaging into that inner thigh. That's it. Just make sure your upper body feels comfortable, and you can always do less. Yeah, so just seeing if we can massage into that inner thigh area. Good, take your time. That's it. Good, we'll do a few more of those. Again, you could use your harder roller, you could use the ball. I'll use the ball on the other side just to show you. But when we come out of that, and again, you might spend a little bit more time, we're going to come into a lovely repeater inner thigh stretch. So in 4-point kneeling, I'm going to take my right leg, so the leg that you were just rolling, bend the knee and then stretch the leg out pretty much at a right angle. Now at the moment I'm going to have my foot on the ground, but then we'll have the option of picking the toes up. So we're on the left knee and we're on the hands come slightly further forward, and we can exhale back then, so the bottom sits back. I'd like you to think of a long lengthened spine, and then come back to our start. So really just enjoy opening up into that inner thigh and groin area. Really tempting to round, but see if you can send your sit bones right away from you and just enjoy that pull forwards and back. You could have the back toes tucked, that gives us a little bit of support. Exhaling and then inhaling as you release, and then we can try picking up the toes, and that just changes that stretch a little bit. So just notice that, so the toes up towards the sky and then heading back. Good, easing back and then recovering. Again, sending the sit bones out, sending the crown of the head away from the sit bones. And then relaxing. Good, we can bring the knee in. Good, and we can do everything on the other side. So if you've got your roller, we can repeat on the other side. And then I'm going to try it with my slightly harder orb, which is a myofascial release ball. And we've got the same principle. So we're on the side and we can put the knee onto the ball and then roll onto that inner thigh area. So it's a little bit tougher for the body because it's a little bit harder. So absolutely fine to stay with the roller if you've got the roller, or try the ball. And again, the ball can get a little bit nearer, obviously, the groin area. So that can be something that you could work on if you wanted. That's it. And again, we can work on that principle of pausing, maybe waiting for something to happen, just a little bit of release, using the breath, relaxing into it. Good. Inhaling and exhaling. That's it. Good, taking your time. Yeah, and if there's any tighter areas, which is likely to be, then just pausing, just having a few breaths, maybe a little rock forward and back, and just enjoy that. Good, and again, working with that 20 breath principle. So we can come off that. You might spend a little bit more time on that now. Yeah, so you might just turn the video off and spend a little bit more time. Otherwise, we come up to that inner thigh stretch. So long lengthened spine, sending my left leg out now, whichever leg you were doing there. Tuck the toes, and then exhale your way back. Find that stretch on the inner thigh, and then just release coming out of it. So we can ease our way back, and again think length, really tempting to round, but to really access that inner thigh. See if you can create that long lengthen back. So easing back and then recovering. Good, and again we could pick up the toes, couldn't we? And we could use that change of foot position just to change the stretch a little bit. Notice that changing. Good, inhaling and exhaling as you go. And again we could aim for those 20 reps or a little bit less if you wanted there. Good, so working on that principle of opening up into the inner thigh area. So you might do a few more now. I'm going to bend the knee, bring my legs slowly back, and then come into knees and feet in hip width. Keep the hands in the same position, and then a cow pose. So we're going to send the tailbone, the sit bones, right up to the sky. We're going to pull our breastbone forward and send the crown of the head up to the ceiling. And then we're just going to breathe. So we're going to take that breath in through the nose, all the way into the chest, into the tummy, and into our pelvic floor. So really thinking about the breath coming almost kind of through the pelvic floor on the inhale. Inhaling and exhaling. So just releasing into our pelvic floor. Again, that kind of same principle that we were in just a moment ago for our inner thigh stretch. A sense that the sit bones are widening, the tailbone's going high. Good, and we'll have a last breath here. Really well done. Good, and we can come out of that. And then I'm going to use my soft roller now. So working on the lat muscles. Yeah, so releasing a little bit around our shoulders and mid-back. So we're going to have our roller on our side, by our side, and then just bring the soft roller, if you can. You can use a harder roller and put a towel over it if you wanted, or just have a little go on this one. And then I've just got my knees bent, and I'm literally just going to ease into that armpit area. Yeah, good. And we could always skip this one if you know that's not suitable for you for any reason. That's it. And then we could maybe roll towards the armpit and then roll a little bit away. So we're trying to get that release into the back of the shoulder. So just rolling a little bit forward and back. Well done. Good. And then I'm just going to change position a little bit now, just so you can see. So I'm back to that armpit area. Good. And then I'm going to roll a little bit over, stretching out my legs, and then roll back towards that armpit area. So I'll show you on the other side when we do the other side, but just making sure you've kind of got the armpit, the back of the shoulder, just connected to the roller. That's it. Good, so just maybe up towards, a little bit up towards the back of the arm and the bicep. And there might be, again, some tighter areas. You could use your hand for support if you wanted here. And then as we pause, I'd like us now just to bring ourselves onto our bottoms. If you put your forearms onto the roller, you can then bring your middle back, so around your shoulder blades, so you can kind of feel that there. Get yourself into that position. And then use the hands in the back of the head. We're aiming to keep our back still, so we're not going to collapse the lower back, and equally we're not going to arch away. So I want you to think about that mid-back area. So isolate your hips and your lower back, and then see if you can ease your way back over the roller, relaxing into it around those shoulder blades for me. Good, and then just a little back to our start position. So again, keeping the lower back still, can we inhale and exhale? Make sure your neck feels comfortable. Let your body relax into the roller, particularly good if you've got the softer roller. And maybe a few less repetitions if you've got the harder roller. Just enjoy that. So just waking up that mid-back area. Inhaling and exhaling. And then you might even just have a little bit of movement side to side. So just giving those shoulder blades a little bit of a tweak, and then maybe even a little bit of a roll one direction and a little roll the other direction. So massaging between the shoulder blades. So I'm just going to move over to that other, away from you, just so you can see where we are here. So armpit, yeah, you might have the hand in the back of the head, the knees are bent, you might have that bottom arm long, and then just rolling forward in towards the chest, and then rolling back. So you're on the back of the shoulder. So you're on the other side now. So we're just kind of waking up around that shoulder area. It's going to give us a little bit more mobility around the shoulder there that we're working on now. So just a little bit forward and back. Good. And then we can stretch out the legs, and we can then just change it a little bit by reaching a little bit over the roller and then coming back. So reaching over the roller, just pressing through the legs, just to bring yourself maybe a centimetre or so. Sorry, I got my clothes caught there. So just reaching over and then coming back. So again, just that little bit of a massage around that back part of the shoulder. Good, and we can make that the last one. We might just do half the repetitions of those, so we might just do 10. So then from here, we can either use a chair or we could use the wall. Absolutely fine. So I'm just going to use my little stool here, so I'll bring that into view here. So then we can add in a nice bit of a stretch for the back body. So if you're near your chair, you could put a little towel over your seat of the chair, fairly close to the chair, and then lean forward from hinging from the hips to put the elbows onto the top of the chair. That's it, and then from here we can allow the hips to sit back as we bring ourselves towards the ground. So we're lengthening out through the spine, we bring our palms together, and then we send the hands towards the back of the body there. So what I want you to feel here is you're lowering your chest down towards the ground, sitting back onto the heels. You can have the toes tucked if that feels better. Easing our way back. I want you to feel the back of the shoulders, yes, but I also want you to feel around the side of the armpit, maybe a little bit into the chest, maybe a little bit into the triceps. Now you're going to stay there, so if you've got that comfortable position, stay for a few more breaths, but I'll just show you can do exactly the same on the wall by just coming up towards your wall, placing the fingertips on your wall, and then coming down into this almost like a wall downward facing dog. So again, we can have the toes tucked, you can pull the hips back, let your head be in line with your inner elbows, and then take the breath wide into the back of the body. So hands shoulder height, maybe a little bit higher, sit bones pulling back, and just really enjoying that wonderful stretch. Again, if we haven't got a wall nearby or that just doesn't feel comfortable, we can do the puppy pose, which is the hands forward and the forehead coming down towards the ground. And there we get us that same similar wonderful stretch through the back of the body. Just remembering the sit bones are high. So again, you might just add in 5 or so, 10 or so breaths. Good, and then when we come back out of that one, we can round into a cat, just to go the other way, just to release the back there a little bit. Good, and then back to our long back. Okay, so now you're going to take your band, yeah? You're going to take your band, and you're going to find a handle, a door handle. I'm just going to use the edge of my desk here, just to show you. So we can have then the band around a door handle, and we're going to do a nice little squat sequence here. So we're going to have our feet a little bit wider than hip width. We're going to relax the shoulders, yeah? And then from here we're going to draw on the band enough that we can sit back. So I'm going to bring my hands all the way down the band and then ease our way back. So make sure you've got a little bit of strength on your door handle and maybe cross your band over for a little bit of support. Your feet are wider than hip width, and I want you to ease back and then come back up to standing. So have a look. Feet can have a little turnout if that feels better. And we can inhale our way back, just to sense that opening into the pelvic floor. And then as we come up, just standing and relaxing back to our standing position. So we can hinge back, hinging our bottom back, just drawing on the band enough to give you a little bit of support, and then back to our start. So if you need to step back a little bit, find that little bit of strength in the band to support you as you sit back, and then back up to standing. So inhaling as we sit the bottom back, keep the crown of the head up to the sky, and then exhaling as we come back to our start. Good, we could try 10 of these, going really slowly, maybe letting the bottom come down a little bit low once you've got into that position. So letting the pelvis release and open, relaxing, taking that breath into the pelvic floor. So just working on that. Letting our bottom sit back, but keeping the length through the spine, and just letting the band guide us there a little bit in with the depth of our squat position. Yeah, really good. And we'll do one more of those. So hinging back from the hips, inhaling as we sit back, really well done, and then exhaling to come all the way back up to our standing position. Beautiful. Good, so then from here we're going to put the band down. I'm just going to put my little thing out of the way there. Good, so then I'd like us to take our towel, and we're going to use this again into that same squat sequence. So you can take your towel and just roll it up just a little bit for me. And then you're going to stand on your towel with your heels a little bit wider than hip width. This is going to help us into a little squat again. So you might have your feet a little bit wider than hip width is great. Can be even wider if you prefer. And then you're just going to allow those heels to lift you a little bit. That's it. Good. And then from here we can have our hands on our thighs. Think length through the spine and start to inhale as we come down. And we might just come a little bit of the way and then come all the way back up to standing. So I'll just show you from the front. So we've got the heels on the towel. You could have the towel rolled up a little bit more if you wanted. So we can inhale, lower the bottom, and then exhale to come up. Good. If we wanted, we can inhale and draw the elbows towards the thighs, and then come all the way back up. So a little bit of a yoga malasana. So inhale if we wanted, we can drop the bottom down and bring the elbows in. Now all the time we're relaxing into the pelvic floor, we're thinking of that openness into the pelvic floor. So inhaling, lowering the bottom. Good, and exhaling to come up to our standing position. So we're inhaling as we lower, draw the bottom down. Good, and exhaling, coming to standing. Good, inhale, let the bottom sit down just a little bit deeper. And then exhale as we come all the way up to standing. So the knees widen, the bottom lowers, the hips sink, and then all the way back up. Good, and then this time we're going to try lowering ourselves down, bringing the elbows in, and then just seeing if we can pause. Maybe we can pause. Maybe we can take the breath into the pelvic floor and allow ourselves just to move a little bit side to side. Good, and then we can place the hands down, and we can take a lovely stretch now as we fold over the legs. And again, we can still have the towel there. Let the head hang, let the shoulders relax. And we're going to inhale our way all the way back up to our standing position. As we bring ourselves just to our feet hip width, we can reach the right arm up, take a breath in, and then exhale into a lovely side stretch all the way over to our left side. Just enjoy that. Good, all the way back up to the sky and release. We'll do the same on the other side. So reaching up, inhaling, and exhaling our way over to our right side. Good, all the way back to our central position. And then just into a chest stretch just to finish. So we can draw the shoulder blades together. We can pull the hands a little bit away from the bottom and gaze ahead. So opening up through the front of the body. We're lengthening through both sides of the waist. We're thinking crown of the head up to the ceiling. Inhaling wide and full into the ribs, into the back. And exhaling. Release the arms, interlace the fingers, and then stretch the arms all the way up to the sky. And as you do that, again, lengthen through both sides of the waist. Good, release the arms. Gentle neck stretch, ear to shoulder. And then same to the opposite side. And recover. Well done. Thanks for joining me. Do let me know how you get on.